We're here in Yellowstone. Again, we're by this beautiful river. It's so peaceful. The sun's going down. It's
So
amazing.
Yes, and I could not imagine being here with anybody else but you and you.
Aww. Well, thank you, Josh. And today we will discuss an awesome topic on how to eat healthy at restaurants and how to eat healthy and save money at Whole Foods.
Brilliant. Yeah, and I used to own a restaurant in my past, so I know all the inside tips and tricks, behind the scenes, what's really going on there. And Steph is the queen of the Whole Foods hot bar and salad bar.
Ooh. Oh yeah. So let's get right into it. What are some of our top tips on how to eat healthy when you go out to a restaurant? Well, the first thing to keep in mind is that you want to suggest going to a healthier restaurant, but we know that sometimes that's not the case.
Sure.
So if that happens, we want to encourage you to go towards sides. Sides are awesome. A lot of times we think, oh, I have to get the whole entree when I go to the restaurant.
Right.
But we can just order a bunch of sides and it's awesome.
And what's great about that is just so much variety.
Yeah.
You know, so you don't have to be stuck to one meal. You can get this kind of flavor and that and that.
It's so fun. So imagine yourself, you could have like a side of brown rice, a side of broccoli that's steamed, and then a side of chicken, and you could kind of just do your own thing with it.
Brilliant.
Awesome. Another great tip that we just love is the buddy system.
Don't go eating without your buddy.
That's right. So make sure when you're out to eat with a friend that you ask them if they want to split a meal.
Yeah.
That's kind of a fun conversation starter, and you get to figure out what a good meal would be for the both of you.
Sure.
And you can take it from there and just split it right in half. And that way, you're saving money and you are also not eating a huge portion size at that restaurant.
Yeah, definitely saving you money. And I always think, you know, why not just order more food later if you decide you're still hungry?
Yeah.
So you can maybe monitor it or kind of go in courses, which allows your brain to actually receive the amount of food you're eating, so you can be more aware than having a giant plate in front of you.
That's so true.
Which, if you end up with a giant plate in front of you...
Ooh, if you do, well then cut half of it like you were doing, but instead of splitting it with a buddy, you're going to ask your server to put the other half in a box for you. Either before you get it or when you get it. Just box it up so you can eat it for later.
So you're saying 2 meals for the price of 1.
Yeah, exactly.
Brilliant.
You know, a lot of times we get to these restaurants and portions are just so massive. Like, think about Cheesecake Factory. I can get like 4 meals out of a meal at Cheesecake Factory.
Right.
It's craziness. So this is a great tip to have. Just cut it in half, no thinking about it, you don't touch the box, and that's it.
Yeah, certainly.
And then my other tip that I also really enjoy is talk to your server. You know, you want to ask them, hey, what oils do you use to cook with? Where did the meat come from? Where did the greens and veggies come from? Right. You want to know what's going into the food. And a lot of times maybe the server won't know, but they can go back to the kitchen and ask for you.
Yeah.
And a lot of times we fear that whole concept of asking for something off the menu, and we think our server is going to like spit in our food or something.
Right.
But really, if we're kind and polite to them, that's not going to be an issue.
Yeah,
and
build the relationship first.
Right, exactly. So I know you can piggyback off that idea, Josh.
Yeah, certainly. Well, I'm a big believer in the sauces, the oils, the dressings. You know, having owned a restaurant, I've seen how a lot of those things were made or prepared. And I've seen how meals have been constructed to be designed more for flavor than for nutrients. And it is important to ask the server because a lot of times the server doesn't even know what's going on, so it's good to help them get educated. And we definitely don't want to create that stigma where we're just being needy and asking for one too many things, but there's that fine balance between creating the relationship and knowing maybe you need to tip an extra $1 or 2 to make sure that person understands you're very appreciative for all their support. But again, the sauces, the dressings, the oils, those are really important because they can make or break a meal.
Oh, yeah.
You know, a lot of times we have these sauces that we get, and we don't even realize they come out of a package, and they're full of all kinds of preservatives, all kinds of flavorings, a lot of ingredients we don't even know are in there. The dressing's the same thing. And then you have the oils, which sometimes it's just a plain vegetable oil when they don't use it. Could have been using an olive oil or a coconut oil or something a little more fresh and healthy. Yeah. So we can always choose to have the oil lessened if it's not a good one, or even left off. A lot of times they can just leave it off. There's always the option too with the sauces. Leave the sauces off.
Yeah, for sure.
Definitely with the sauces. You know, it's again, in my restaurant past, a lot of times I've seen it places where sauces will be claimed to be homemade. This used to drive me nuts. They would claim homemade, but what they're really doing is pouring 3 or 4 pre-made packaged sauces into one and claiming it was some new amazing recipe, when realistically it was just a bunch of preservatives from other types of products being put into one big product. So, you know, just do a little investigating. Just know that what you read may not always be what it truly is. And we don't always need the sauces. We can ask for herbs, spices. You know, you can even bring some that with you to the restaurant.
It's a little from your purse, you know.
Yeah, like really great salts, like mineral salt.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with bringing some herbs with you. And Steph definitely can recommend some of that to you.
Yeah.
So that's a good way to go. And then with the dressings as well. Yeah, I try to always make sure I get some type of vinaigrette dressing, which will help, you know, keep your system and your blood flowing, really help balance your body. Just a balsamic vinaigrette is amazing with a little bit of olive oil. You can really dress it up a lot of different ways, but
a tip too, I would love to throw in for salads, for dressings, just order a lemon cut up and just squeeze the lemon on there. It's totally underrated. Lemon on greens, so amazing. Or just oil and vinegar.
Yeah, I mean that balsamic vinaigrette you put on kale a lot of times just nails it every time.
And it's simple.
Yeah, and so I don't know. Sometimes it is changing the taste buds a little, but it's going to be much more of a reward in the end when we can get away from those things that a lot of times are just activating that brain bliss barrier because it's too fatty tasting or really sugary, and we tend to be conditioned towards that. So the more we can steer away and still get our flavor in there, the better off we're going to be by far. Also, another really fun tip, at least for me, I love going to restaurants and getting creative.
Ooh.
You know, getting creative is something that allows you for freedom over the menu. And I think the reason I keep coming back to this service is I don't want you to become that needy customer that is asking for everything under the sun. But if you see a simple menu item like a burger per se, and you see a really maybe a weaker salad, it just doesn't have much going on there, you can always ask them just to chop up the tomatoes and onions in a burger that's on one meal and then throw it on top of salad. You know, and that's really a simple way to just create a more fun, enlivening menu item than a burger and french fries, which does taste good, but it can definitely throw us off track sometimes.
Josh is so good at getting creative with it. You know the term food envy. I'm always looking over at what he's creating. I'm like, oh, I want a bite of that.
Yeah,
you can have so much fun.
Yeah, certainly. So I think it's a good way to roll. You know, whenever you can just step outside the bun, step outside the box a little bit, and just get creative. You know, there's all kinds of things you can do. Have like the side of rice Steph mentioned, and maybe split some of the meal with somebody else, and then take some of their portion. Maybe they have I don't know, a couple pieces of meat on there, and maybe they have some veggies, and you can mix all that together and make a little meal out of that. And then you can have, oh man, it just goes endless.
Did you just combine them all together? Because
yeah,
I think that's awesome.
Just bring it all full circle.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'm even taking soup and pouring it on my salad to make a hot salad.
Oh yeah, that happens.
So yeah, you know, I guess I'm putting the cart before the horse here, because that brings us to the Whole Foods hot bar and salad bar.
Yeah, so we know a lot of times when we're traveling or we're on the road or we're out and we need a meal that we know will be healthy, we like to go to Whole Foods. But we've also made the mistake, which I'm sure many of you have, going to the Whole Foods hot bar, which is just all that prepared food, and ringing up a bill of like $20 for one meal. And we're like, whoa, how did that happen? So I've made it an art to figure out how to save as much money as possible at a Whole Foods hot bar. And I've spent like $3 on some lunches. I've spent $1.75 on breakfast there. Really getting it down to a science.
And I usually balance it out with a $12 meal.
Yeah, he likes to put, as he mentioned, some soup on his salad so that adds a little weight and it gets a little heavier, but so good. So that brings us to our first thing, weight. This is measured, the price is measured by weight. So we're going for the lightest stuff possible. And that would be organic greens. All the greens at Whole Foods Hot Bar are organic, which are very expensive normally. So you're getting a great deal on organic greens, which we know are amazing for our bodies. So we love that. And then let's move on to a protein, right? You want to put a protein on your salad.
Right.
So we suggest getting the chicken or whatever meat you choose that does not have any sauces or seasoning on it. It's just plain and it's usually shredded.
Right.
That's going to be so much lighter, because if you get the chicken that has sauce on it, heavy, really heavy, and that brings up the dollar signs really fast.
Yeah.
The other thing we always do, we love color. You know, we really encourage you to have a plethora of color on your plate. So we'll go around and we'll grab a little color, some beet, some purple cabbage, some carrot, some, you know, whatever else is beautiful and colorful. Yeah. But we don't grab a ton of it. We just put like a couple of each, just for a little boost of color there.
Right. And I found that sticking to this rule lets me realize I was usually just getting a whole scoop of beets.
Yeah.
Because I was just getting a whole scoop of beets.
Right.
Just natural. Really need them all. So if I just took 3 or 4 of those, and then 3 or 4 of like a carrot dish, and then 3 or 4 of another color like purple cabbage, and then continue that, you know, you just get a little bit of each one.
Yeah.
You have a lot less, and you really didn't need all the extra you were putting on before.
Yeah, it's so true. Yeah. And then another thing that you can do that's really fun is they have a lot of little toppings that are super light. Chia seeds, sesame seeds, some chopped up nuts, things like that. And every Whole Foods varies, but these are very light. And so you can add a nice crunch to your salad, and it's really delicious. And then another thing too is you don't want to deprive yourself fully. So if you see some stuff there that you like and it might be heavier, just grab a small portion of it, just a little taste, just so you can have a little fun there. And then the other thing, a lot of Whole Foods have prepared salads. So they have already got all their mixings put in there, and then they have a dressing on top. That's heavy, so that's going to weigh your salad box down. So never go for the salads that are pre-made with dressings.
Sure.
You want to, and this is a big tip, you want to put your dressing on the side. So they have these little clear cups that they put out for you, and you can pour your dressing in there, and then you don't pay for that. But if you put it right on the salad, then it's going to weigh it down, and it's going to be heavier and more expensive.
Brilliant.
The dressing we always use, it's a favorite. Every Whole Foods has the ingredients for this. So we do mostly olive oil, a little bit of Bragg's liquid aminos for like a saltiness, a touch of apple cider vinegar, and you're good to go. Cap it up, shake it up, and then pour it on.
Good.
Yeah, we love that. So it really makes an amazing, tasty, filling salad when you do that. And we really encourage you to go for that option. You can really get something for like $3 or $4. Another thing is get the smaller box. Don't go for the big one. The bigger the size box, the more food you're going to get. And you don't need that much food. We always overestimate. Our eyes are bigger than our stomach. So get the smaller box.
Right.
Put what you want in there.
We can always buy more if we need it. You know?
Yeah.
But
you can always go back.
I also always like to throw out there, we're not recommending to restrict ourselves too much.
Yeah.
But see, you know, what we can shave off, the excess food we're not really needing that we may just be getting because we're just getting it and not realizing it's not necessary.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's a great idea. And I always end up liking your salads more than my own. So
I know, vice versa. Buddy system.
I do find, too, though, the cool thing about that bar is you can get some soup and add it on top instead of a dressing. And a lot of times I'll find the soups that are the most natural, the most homemade feeling, and really hearty soup. Put a little scoop on there. And again, it will raise the price a bit, but at the same time, you're having this whole different dynamic, a warm salad, or then you can go with Steph's idea of the cold salad.
Yeah.
And it's just good to have a mixture.
Yeah. Oh, and another thing, beans also. So, you know, grab some beans, but not a ton, because they're heavy-ish. So I go like for a medium amount of beans to just add some protein.
Chickpeas are pretty good.
Yeah, chickpeas are fun.
Pretty
so, anyway, that wraps up our video. Wow, so much info, and it's so fun to talk about this stuff because Josh and I just love it. We spend so much time on this stuff, so it's fun to share it with you guys. We hope it saves you a lot of money. We hope it saves you a lot of time, and we hope it creates a very healthy body for you.
It definitely will. It has for us.
Yeah, it really has for us. Please make sure you comment on our Facebook page and let us know what you liked about the video, if you have any questions, anything and everything. Let's get a good conversation going and be inspiring to each other as much as possible. So,
and I want to hear how you all get outside the box and your thoughts, you know, the type of side dishes you might find in other areas, or even some suggestions of more widely known restaurants so we can find those unique items. Just ways you might combine certain foods, any kind of tips and tricks to keep you in a better place, in a more, I guess, a place where you're standing in your power, really.
Yeah, that's so fun. Thanks for sharing that, Josh.
Cool.
We're so glad that you guys were here. We love you very much.
Love you.
See you in a video very soon.